Today, we are diving into everything you need to know about grow lights and how they can make or break your next harvest. Hey, but before we do, today's video is brought to you by Real Growers Recharge. If you want stronger, healthier plants, if you want bigger roots for better fruits, you gotta check out Real Growers Recharge. It's like an instant compost tea that holds more nutrients at your root zone, breaks those nutrients down, and makes them more plant available, getting more of your nutrients into your plants. Find out more about Recharge over at realgrowers.com. And while you're there, use coupon code Scotty420 to get 20% off your first order. Now let's get back to the show. All right, Hi-C, you ready to jump into this one? It's important.
I am digging this. Grow lights is the sexy thing when it comes to growing.
That's your horsepower. That's where you're going to get your photosynthesis, photo, light, synthesis, building. So we want to get our plants to build with that light, the maximum amount we can without wasting any. Hi-C, check out this sprayer analogy that I like to use. Okay, it's just a hose end sprayer, and you can see that if you put your hand up 2 inches in front of the sprayer, there is going to be a lot more water droplets coming out. It's going to be more dense, right? The droplets are going to be more dense. As we go further and further away from that nozzle, it's going to be less intense, right? When we put our hand out, there's going to be less water droplets hitting our hand.
And less intense.
Less intensity, right?
Yeah.
So now just replace water droplets with light droplets, okay? So photons are, for lack of a better word, they're packets of energy. You know, we're visualizing them. Let's visualize them as little droplets of energy. Water is what comes, little water droplets is what comes to mind.
Yeah, this picture reminds me of the old way that I used to see people put lights and they could move them up and down and adjust how close they were to the canopy.
Yep. So the way we measure that is the amount of light droplets that are going over a certain area, that are falling over a certain area. Well, that certain area we used to measure is a meter squared. So basically a 3 foot by 3 foot area. So if you take a look at this, you can either raise it up or down according to how much of that light you want to hit that meter squared.
And that's
PPFD,
okay.
Photosynthetic photon flux density. Who cares? Photosynthetic, right? Photons is the amount of light raindrops, and density. I don't know what flux means, all right? No, seriously, the amount of raindrops that are falling on a 3 foot by 3 foot area. Easy.
At any given time?
In a second.
Okay.
They have to measure that in 1 second.
I secretly just wanted to say PP, but go ahead. Okay, so help me out. I know that there's like apps on your phone or there's like tools that you can use to measure PPFD.
Yeah, you can get a PPFD meter off Amazon for probably $60. I do use my phone. There's something called the Photone app. I think it works just fine, man. So I don't think you have to spend a bunch of money on a meter.
And then I'm looking for different PPFD amounts at different stages of growth.
Yes. Yeah, you don't want to burn your plants. So you've got maybe 150 to 200 PPFD for seedlings, 250, maybe somewhere around there for clones. I try to dial them up. Dialing it up too fast, you can burn your plants and do some damage to them. So I slowly dial it up to about 600 PPFD in veg, and then I dial it up to at least 900 PPFD in flower. And the idea there is we're giving it significant. It's going from 18 hours a day to 12 hours a day. So I have to make it rain harder. For those 12 hours a day, it has to rain just as hard as it rained 16.
So when we cut back on the time, we need to slowly dial up the intensity.
Yup. And just think of this as, I think of it as a sponge. You've got this 3 foot by 3 foot sponge. We're going to see how long it takes to rain in order to fill up that sponge till it just starts overflowing. The one exception I will say, or the one thing I think we should bring up, is CO2. When you have CO2 introduced, it supercharges the ability of that plant to photosynthesize, to hold more water. I like to think of it as a chamois. Vince from ShamWow, all right? I got a 3 by 3 meter by meter ShamWow now, okay? That's going to hold more water. That's going to allow my plant to absorb more light raindrops. Photons.
Okay, so I've got a pretty good grasp on PPFD.
Yep.
You mentioned something though, DLI. What's that?
That's just how many, if we're talking the photon raindrops thing, PPFD is how many raindrops fall per second. DLI is how many raindrops fall in a day. So all we're doing is multiplying the seconds to how long our lights are on. There's 3,600 seconds in an hour. Thank you very much.
That's a lot.
But then you would just times that by how many hours. There's a formula. You can just Google it. Yell it into your phone. It's very easy.
And I've got this chart pulled up, and it shows the DLI, and it kind of shows what you were talking about earlier, where you just give a little bit during seedling or clone.
Sure.
And then it shows this upward momentum, and then at the end of veg, there's this big drop. What's going on there?
Well, when we're in veg, say that we're at 600 ppfd, it's raining that hard. Well, that's at 18 hours a day, right?
18 to 24, depending on how powerful my lights are.
Sure. I'm just going to say, I'd say 18 hours a day because it makes an easy example. So when we cut our lights to 12 hours a day, 6, 12, 18, that's 50% more, man.
Wait. We only lose 33% of the rain time.
I have thought about this forever, and thank you. I can't remember. One of the DGC helped me with it. What is 50% more than 12?
Oh, gosh, man, this is
18,
not a math channel.
6, 12, 18. It's 18. So you are losing 50% of your light. So if you dial it up from 600, if you have it at 600, you have to dial it up to 900 just to keep your DLI constant.
And you know what makes sense is when I'm looking at this chart, it does look like when I flip over, I am losing 50% of my light power.
Look, I read the comments, all right, man? And thank you, DGC. Y'all folks are so smart, and you've helped me out a lot.
Okay. And this daily light integral, I'm noticing when I flip over, there's a significant drop, but then it slowly raises back up. What's going on there?
That's, like I said, you're losing 50% of your light time, so then you need to slowly raise it back up.
Why don't I just raise it back up immediately and save myself some effort?
Learn from me, brother. It will burn your plants. You have to do it slowly. I have burnt my plants very quickly, dialing the lights up too quick.
Okay, so at flip, a big decrease, and then slowly dial them back up to what?
Yep. So if you're at 600, you got to dial it back up to 900. Or not back up, but you have to dial it up to 900. You have to get 50% more light.
Okay, cool. Okay, so I've got PPFD. That's the amount of light hitting the canopy at any given second.
Yep.
I've got DLI. That's how much light gets absorbed throughout the whole day.
Right.
And then what's the next thing that I need to know about my lights?
PAR. PAR is the photosynthetic active range. It means out of all the light that's out there, which spectrum of light will make your plant photosynthesize, grow.
Okay, I've got this image pulled up, and I'm seeing different light spectrum, and it says part of it is visible light, and it says PAR there. What's going on? What's that?
Yeah, that's the visible light spectrum that your plants can photosynthesize with. Blue on one side, red on the other. And in that range, in that 400 to 700 nanometer range, that's what your plants can use to photosynthesize.
So to actually build the plant.
Yes.
And that's what most LEDs are kind of focused on, is that range right there?
Yep.
All right, and then I'm seeing some stuff outside of that range. What's going on there?
Come on, say P-bar.
P-bar.
That's the photobiological active range, okay? And there's two tails on the end that as growers, we figured out that they do something. They don't make the plant any bigger, but they do something. So on that lower end in the 300s is UV.
Okay.
And we know that UV gives more trichomes, gives more frost on there. It doesn't photosynthesize. It doesn't build it into green plant material, but it does change the plant morphology. Same with at the far red. When you start playing with the far red, you can make your plant short and fat. You can make them tall and sparse. You can do that through the far red, deep red ratio that is past the 700 nanometers.
Okay, so are light companies taking this into consideration now?
Some are. It's really hard, man. They don't have the technology. They don't have the technology yet to make really reliable UV. UV is a violent wavelength.
Mm-hmm. I've heard about people that have tried having their bulbs burn out faster or stuff like that. Is that a legitimate concern, or is that just bro science?
Yeah, they're good at making LEDs that are in that PAR zone because we see in that PAR zone. So there's a lot of, very, very similar to what we see. It's that UV and those far and infrareds. Those are a little bit tougher. I think even when you go to McDonald's, the heat lamps, I've been at McDonald's in a long time, all right? Yeah. But the heat lamp, that's infrared. And last time I saw it, it was a big light bulb. It wasn't an LED.
Oh, yeah, that's true. Okay.
One last thing that I promise I'll make it easy. CRI. When you're buying a light, all this stuff you might see in the light specs. CRI just is color rendering index, and it just means we're comparing it to the sunlight. Sunlight is 100% CRI. If you have 95% CRI, it looks pretty darn close to the sun.
And is that actually listed in some of the specs?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's when you'll have PPFD, you'll have CRI, and then you'll have all the electronics. By the way, all components in LED lights are not created equal. You can get super cheap Chinese diodes, or you can get a name brand like Sylvania or Bridgelux, some really good name brand. So take a look at the build quality. If you got to send an email, buy once, cry once. Get good lights.
And this is not a shout out to any sponsors because we don't have sponsors for the show, but just a friendly recommendation. What are your 1 or 2 favorite companies to get lights from?
AC Infinity, good quality lights, pick it up and you'll see. And then HLG. I mean, when you take a look at them, that's an American company that it's all metal construction. The power supply is solid. Yeah, those are my 2 favorite companies, definitely. Hey, but that's just my 2 cents. What about you? What kind of tips have you got for getting the maximum out of your lights? Let me know in the comments. And if you like this video, please hit that like button, smash that subscribe button, share this video with another grower you know, and check out the other couple of videos YouTube's recommending. I know you'll dig them.